Hi, and welcome to the Journey Mappers podcast, the official podcast of the OU Pledge, sponsored by the Oakland University Credit Union. I am Madi, a marketing student here at Oakland University, and I'm also a marketing and social media intern at the Career and Life Design Center. Today, I'm joined by my co-host Claire, who is a graduate assistant at the Career and Life Design Center and is currently getting their master's in information technology management. So welcome to the podcast.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here.
In this episode, we are going to be talking about what it is like to be a college student with a job. Whether that is on campus or off campus, it is important to talk about how these positions can play such an important role on gaining experience and building skills about yourself for your long-term career goals. So Claire, thank you so much for joining me today. Let's get on into it. So what was your first job in college?
My first job in college was on campus. And I was working in the Academic Success Center as a supplemental instruction leader. And I did that for about a year. Yeah, it was almost exactly a full year. And then I went into other on-campus positions that I stayed in for like 3 years before going on to other jobs.
So what grade were you in? Did you start that as a freshman?
Well, I didn't, because when I was a freshman, it was COVID.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I started it my sophomore year.
Nice.
Was when I started on campus.
Do you remember why you felt the urge to work on campus? Like, what made you want to do it?
I was already getting involved on campus, like with student orgs and like hanging out with friends on campus. And so it was kind of there.
Yeah.
I was already there on campus. I was already there for classes. That's kind of where everything was. And so it started out of convenience. Yeah. Like I needed a job, but on campus was convenient. So I started looking at on-campus positions, found this one, and then I fell in love with on-campus working. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. I feel like for me, I was a student athlete my freshman year, so I feel like that personally is like a job in itself because you're devoted to your sport like 5 days a week. So I took on a seasonal job for my first job in college, which was at a bakery in my hometown. And I worked there in the summer and I worked there over the winter, like during Christmas, because your freshman year, I personally felt like I didn't have time on my plate to work a job because it's sometimes very demanding. So I decided to do a seasonal position, and it was awesome. It was kind of also for convenience because I needed the income when I was a freshman, and I wasn't working during the school year. So grabbing a seasonal job was what I wanted to do. So.
Were you still an athlete, like all through, like, or...
Yeah.
Are you still?
No, I did 2 years as a student athlete, so my freshman and sophomore year. So those are the years that I worked seasonally. So that's about that. I just took 2 years as a student athlete, and then after those 2 years, I decided to transfer to Oakland, which is when I started to work more as a student during the academic year.
Yeah. Was managing it, like, between your sports season and your job season?
Yes.
How were those different?
Yes. So it was, I'm not going to lie, like it was exhausting, but it was so fulfilling. Like when I went from summer break working, I felt like I made so many friends working, and I had no practice or anything during the summer. So on paper, I did not want to work. I was like, I just want to relax and do nothing. But I got that seasonal job, and it was awesome because I got to live the life of just going to the bakery, being with my friends and working, not worrying about doing classes or softball or anything. But then once the fall would roll around, I would transition into going back to being an athlete, which again felt like a full-time job at that time. So that's kind of how I balanced that because they didn't really just like intersect or whatever. They didn't overlap at the time. But yeah, that's about that.
I feel like I didn't ask what was your job at that time?
I worked at a bakery. I was like a retail worker, so I would like talk to customers. I would get them to buy my services, which was like the bakery items. So I'd get them to buy bread or like donuts or whatever. And it was such an easy job, but like it was kind of tiring. It was in the morning, and it was just something I did over the summer.
Gave you some like skills that you could take into into your
Definitely.
Yeah.
And that had nothing to do with my degree at the time
Yeah.
because I'm a business major. I do marketing. So working in a bakery didn't apply to that, but it was just something I did to make money. And I learned so much from it. Like I learned how to communicate. I learned how to talk to customers or work in a fast-paced environment. So
Yeah.
even a job that didn't apply to marketing, like still taught me so much. So I think that's really important. Like,
Yeah. Similarly with me, I was doing physics, like study groups,
yeah,
which not directly related to what I'm doing now or what my degree was or like what I plan to do in the future, but it's definitely one of like the jobs that I look back on as being incredibly valuable to me as a person. I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like it came into every aspect of my life, not just in my career, but also in like creatively.
Wow.
That was
Yeah.
like it developed me in my creative life.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of specific in what I was doing,
Yeah.
but
I'm just curious, like, what surprised you? Just to go back to the academic success center, like one of your first jobs, like, what surprised you about that position that you weren't expecting to take from it?
yeah, and that one is unique because you're working like it doesn't necessarily have set hours. You have your time that you do the study group, but then you have all the time outside of that you're preparing and making material and quizzes and worksheets, preparing for this 1 hour session that you have. And so that, what surprised me about that, like I knew that going into it, that there would be prep time outside, but it was surprising to me how much that I was required to figure out.
Okay.
And not even required. It was just part of the job was, it was my job to figure all of this stuff out and make material
Definitely.
related to the class that they were taking.
Yeah.
And at first, I was in the class also. Like I was attending the classes alongside all of the students, so I knew what was going on. But later, I wasn't even going to the class sessions, and I was also doing it for 3 different classes.
Okay.
So I had to just kind of use my best guess, and based on the vibes of the students, figure it out.
Yeah.
Which is a really valuable skill that I've now found is the ability to figure stuff out.
Absolutely.
When you don't know what's going on. I feel like a lot of jobs in general are like as a student when you're still young and figuring stuff out.
Yeah.
A lot of it is figuring out how to figure out what to do.
100%.
Because you're not going to get a step-by-step booklet of how to work.
Yeah. That's so interesting. That's a great takeaway just from a simple, like, just student job. There's so many things you can take from it. So I'm curious, let's get into a little bit about what we do now at the Career and Life Design Center. I'm really curious if you could describe a day in your life just at the Career and Life Design Center. What's it like being a graduate assistant?
A day in the life. A lot of working with my supervisor, and like we work together a lot and talk about things and how to standardize like the operations of the department.
Yeah.
So again, a lot of figuring stuff out.
That's cool. Have you learned a lot from your supervisor there?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like every day I learn something, and it's not even knowledge that is about my career.
Yeah.
Like I'm not in classes. You're learning stuff, and it's like education. It's academic. You're learning from a textbook kind of things.
Absolutely.
But then at work, it's completely different. I feel like I'm learning more about people and myself and how to work with others, how to talk,
Yeah.
and share my academic knowledge in a real environment.
That's so cool. Like,
Yeah.
I feel so fortunate to be working a position that like applies directly to what I want to do with my future. So as a marketing and social media intern, like that's literally what I want to do in the future. So when I get to work, which is usually around like 10:30 in the morning, because I roll out of bed and I'm like, okay, let's do this, because I have a longer commute than a lot of other people. But I just have a list of things that I have to get done, whether that's posting on social media for the department or going to hang flyers around campus or collaborating with my coworker. There's so many exciting things that I get to go in and do, and I'm getting paid for it, and I'm getting the experience that I want for my career. I just feel very fortunate that I had that opportunity and that I'm experiencing it firsthand. Like even doing this podcast is something that I would have never thought that I would get to do and get paid for it and get this experience, because this is exactly what I want to do with my future. So I think that's really cool.
That is really cool.
Yeah.
That is really cool. You mentioned your longer commute.
Yeah.
And so you had that
Yeah.
just as a student, a commute, but now you also have, like, I guess, added responsibility to make it to work on time.
100%. And I'm not going to lie, that's why I start later, because a lot of people get to work at 8 a.m. That's not going to happen for me, and I'm so thankful to have a supervisor who allows me to come in later, because I do have that longer commute. But it is so worth it. Like, it's 45 minutes each way, which might sound like a long time, but I'm going to work to do something I really enjoy. And then after work, I get to go to class, and I just feel fortunate to be able to do that. So it's not fun, especially because of the rush hour after work. And that's also why I go in later, because I would be going during peak rush hour if I left earlier. So that's another excuse that I had. But yeah, it's totally worth it. And I think a lot of student workers might not have that to relate to. They might live closer. They might live on campus, but I'm taking the hit by driving a little further because that's how much I love my job. So
yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of students like are in a similar situation where they have a commute, and then it's like I don't want to drive to to work too, yes. Or maybe you have to go in more days because you only take classes some days. So I don't know how would you say that experience is?
It's okay. I mean, I think it's worth it. Like, and I'm not alone. I'm not the only one who does commute. I know my coworker has a commute. My boss has a shorter commute, but she commutes as well. So everyone, I think a lot of people do commute to the school, just like you said. So it's not fun, especially during the winter or if there's rush hour. But again, I think it's totally worth it. And on that topic, do you have any in-person classes right now that you're balancing with your job?
Well, yeah, but both of my classes were in person.
Okay.
And in a graduate program, most of the in-person classes are in the evenings.
Okay.
So that kind of works conveniently because I don't have to worry about conflicts with work schedule, but it does make for longer days.
Yeah.
Like my like Monday, Wednesday that I had classes, I had 2 classes back to back. Those were 12-hour days.
Yeah.
It's a long,
It's exactly
long day.
what I had too.
Yeah.
Like, we were in that together because I came to work at 10:30 and then I had a class at 5:30 p.m. So there were days I didn't get home till like 10 or 9. So
Yeah. That's long.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that can be very tiring.
100%. Like, I'm not going to lie. It gets exhausting, but
yeah.
I think it's worth it. Here's a question. Like, how do you, like, sit down and communicate with your supervisor about your schedule? I know you have afternoon classes, but do you ever have a day where you feel overwhelmed with your assignments, or you feel like, well, this might just be speaking from me because sometimes I feel like I'm drowning. Like, do you have any conversations with your supervisor about taking a little bit more time to focus on school? Has that ever occurred for you?
I tend not to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't think there's anything wrong with it, and I think working on campus, or really in general working as a student, you can do that and should do that and communicate with your supervisor. If the workload is like, this week I have 3 assignments due and I'm just like kind of focused on these things. I'm still coming to work,
Yeah.
but I might not be completely present
Yes.
because I'm thinking about, or I just stayed up until 2 a.m.
Yeah.
and here I am at 8 a.m.
It's so like vulnerable, but it's so true. Like I've had to sit down with my supervisor and just say like, listen, like I'm so sorry, but there's an essay that I didn't finish. It's due tonight. Can I leave early? And maybe, I don't know if you should do that, but I'm lucky enough to have a supervisor who recognizes what it's like to be a college student and they know what it's like to have a big workload. So I personally take it to my advantage that I do have such a cool boss that I can talk to her about taking extra time off if I need a day off to just do my homework and like catch up. And yeah, that's not all the time, maybe once a month if I really feel like I'm drowning in schoolwork, but it's really all about balance, and building that connection with your supervisor is so important because you can gain a connection where you're like, yeah, listen, I might need to leave an hour early just to go finish this or go study or something like that.
Yeah. I think you hit on something that on-campus positions, that like on-campus supervisors are always so accommodating and understanding of like, they get it that you are a student first.
Yeah.
And if you need to focus on something, then that's your priority. But so I also have a not on-campus job.
Yeah.
And there I have experienced the same thing because they know that I'm a student.
Okay.
And I tend to be one not to like ask for time off for things, but I will communicate like, I have 2 projects due this week, just so you know.
Yeah. It's so important to communicate that.
Still here, but
yeah,
might not be at my best.
Yes.
And every time I communicate that with my supervisor at my off-campus job, he's like, oh yeah, absolutely. Do you feel like you need to like take some time to focus on it, or do you want to like leave early? And I'm like, oh no, that's okay. I really appreciate that. Yeah. I prefer not to do that, but I've always been really appreciative when supervisors are like, a good supervisor will acknowledge that. Definitely. And be understanding both on and off campus.
Yeah, I agree. I've had a couple off-campus jobs myself, and that is something that I preached during my initial interview. I'm just letting you know I am a college student and this is something I'm balancing. So I think that's 100%. Like, it's important to just communicate that, even if you don't have that flexibility to ask for a little bit of time off, which a lot of people don't. That might just be a lucky thing that I have, but it's just important to communicate that.
Do you think for like looking for a job, or like when looking for a job with that kind of restriction that you are a student, you're you know, there are other candidates in the market that aren't students.
Definitely.
And you kind of have this like added constraint.
Definitely.
Do you think that can make you a less desirable candidate, or do you think it's like fine?
It 100% depends on the job and when the job is happening. A lot of my off-campus jobs are over the summer where I'm not actively a student and I'm just having I just have time off. So that's the off-campus job I had was a marketing internship and then a guest services position. And those both happened during the summer. So I don't know how accurately I can answer that because I didn't have the burden of having assignments during that time. But I don't know. Like, if you are a college student right now who is like looking for a position and you let your supervisor know, like, hey, I'm a college student, I don't know if that will necessarily have them look past you. That might bring more, like, make you look even more desirable because they are recognizing that you're good at time management or that you are committed to many things and you're good at balancing those. I think it can make you a stronger candidate in some ways, but as long as you communicate that, I think that's really important. But I don't know if it'll make you less desirable. I think there's a way you can get around that if you're committed to working, if you're finding a job, to make sure you have time for that job. Like, don't apply to jobs if you feel like you're going to drown in it and you feel like you're not ready.
I really like that answer because
Thank you.
well, because you basically you focused on how you can make it work. Like you can always make it work.
Yes. Always.
Yeah, and if you can't make it work,
then you shouldn't apply. Like, just to be real.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
But there's always a way.
100%.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, like, coming into this is the first academic year where I've had a like more demanding position to be there for more hours, 25 hours a week, which I don't always hit it, but it's the first time I've had a job like that during the school year. And going into it, I was incredibly nervous because I'm like, this is the first time I'm going to have to balance classes, work, and oh my gosh, can I handle that? So going into it, applying to it, I was like, other people do this, like I can do this. And I think it's important just to know how to be flexible with your schedule and know how to work around it. So for me, that means downloading Google Calendar and putting everything laid out into pretty bubbles and seeing when do I have to turn in this assignment? When do I have to be at work? When do I have class? Just seeing a visual representation helps me so much. And I don't know if many people know that. Google Calendar is a great resource, but that's what I use because I sometimes feels like I have a lot on my plate, but I always find a way to see when's my due date for this and when do I have to be to work and when do I have to post on social media for work. I just think that's a helpful tool.
Hey, Golden Grizzlies, ready to turn everyday spending into smart savings? Cashback Plus, powered by OU Credit Union, lets you score unlimited cash back without a credit card. Grab your morning coffee, DoorDash your favorite meal, or shop online to make the most out of every purchase. Cashback Plus, your money, your perks, your way. Join OU Credit Union today and start earning more.
So let's get into off-campus jobs a little bit more because I know we both have off-campus positions at one point. You're actively doing an off-campus job. Do you want to talk about that a little? What's your position and how do you balance that with school?
Yeah, sure. So I work at an automotive supplier. I started as an intern there, and so it's right close by to where I live. So everything is kind of like close.
Yeah.
My on campus, close to classes, my off campus, close to home. So that's very convenient. But I started there as a computer science intern, which was my undergraduate degree, which is very vague.
Yeah.
Like it was just kind of an internship.
Definitely.
They were at an on-campus job fair. That's where I like interacted with the company and saw the job and talked about it. And then I applied. They encouraged me to apply for it. I applied for it, and then I ended up getting it.
That's cool.
Yeah, and it didn't really know what I was getting into because it was sometimes internships. They're kind of vague, like because it's an internship. You're not. It's not necessarily a job title.
Yeah.
It's an internship. So it was literally called computer science intern. And I was like, okay, well,
that could mean so many things.
Yeah,
honestly,
I really want an internship because I want some experience that I can take into my career. And I suppose that should be related.
Yeah.
My major is computer science, and it's computer science intern. So it's got to be something good. So I applied for it. I got it. And it, because it was so vague, I had no idea what I was getting into, but it ended up being very close to like what I actually want to do. I don't know if it was that the actual tasks were, or that I came into it with a certain, like, me expressing my skills and what I'm interested in.
Yeah.
And my supervisor and boss seeing that and then letting me do my thing. But in my internship, I developed an application that then caught on at the company and is now being used around internationally. And when I graduated, they wanted me to keep working on this application.
I'm sure. That's cool.
And so they kept me on
Yeah.
as kind of just like a part-time employee.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And you're doing that while you're a graduate assistant at the Career and Life Design Center, while you're still taking classes, like actively for your master's.
Yeah.
So that's crazy. Like, do you want to talk about what it's like balancing 3 jobs? I mean, that's awesome.
Basically, it's a lot, but I think the schedule that I've created for myself works for me.
Yeah.
Like I swap between swap between the off-campus job, on-campus job, and then classes. And then I kind of rotate where I never do the same thing. Like I never go to the same job twice in a row.
Yeah.
And for me, that's really helpful. Like I like to switch around, and it gives me time to think about them in between. For other people that like might not work, but I think the scheduling is important for me to get that to work, because I need it to work for my brain to be able to like balance all of that.
Definitely. I mean, everyone's different in that sense, like scheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I get weekends off.
That's great.
Well, except for homework.
Yeah.
But like that's important to me. So to be able to have a kind of recovery period.
Definitely. I'm the same exact way with that. Like, at least one day out of the week, I want to do nothing.
Yeah.
And homework, that absolutely counts for me. That's a part of our job, being a student. And that might fall into that off day. But I don't know. I feel like I'm doing homework throughout the week. I'm not the type to save it for one day. So if I work like a smaller shift, like a 3-hour shift or 4-hour shift, I make sure to add time in that day to do homework. And I don't know if that's the same for you or if you keep it just for certain days of the week, but always am trying to do homework every single day throughout the week.
Yeah, I kind of squeeze it in wherever I can.
Yes, 100%. Yes.
Yeah.
That's cool. So generally speaking, what is like the main differences between your graduate assistant position and then this part-time position? Because obviously you're doing different things, but like what would you say are the main differences between those?
Definitely, like by far, the biggest difference is the environment. Because in an on-campus position, you're working in higher education in some form. Like you are on campus either surrounded by students, faculty, like staff. You are in an environment of higher education, where in my off-campus job, it is a corporate environment, which is very different. Things move at different paces between those. So it can be kind of jarring to swap my mindset between them.
Yeah.
Where it's like on campus, things can change like that day. I come into work and I have an idea of what I'm going to be working on, but that might change if something comes up.
For sure.
Where at my off-campus job, it's very set. Like I know exactly when my meetings are, when I'm going to be working on this project, and because everything is structured there, so it's very different environments.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer. Exactly what I would say for my off-campus job. When this summer I worked for the Tigers doing like a guest services position, and like when I compare that job to what I'm currently doing on campus, there is so many differences when it comes to that working environment. I wasn't working with college students is the first thing I would say. In my off-campus job, I worked with a lot of older people, maybe some who are retired, and I would work alongside with them. But when I'm working my on-campus job, I work directly with a graphic design intern who's about to get their degree in graphic design. Like, just the people you're also working with at these different jobs, it can make a huge difference. Mm-hmm. And also the environment. When you're at the Tiger Stadium, you are in such a fast-paced, crazy environment that is just chaos. And when I'm on my campus job, I can actually just focus on sit at a computer for a little bit and edit or post and do other things. That was a great answer. Just in the environment, it's totally different.
Yeah, but I think that's really interesting that for you, it almost seemed like flipped from mine.
Oh my gosh, yeah,
a
little bit.
Where on campus, mine's a little bit more fast-paced and can change. But off campus is more structured and I sit down and I do my work.
Yeah.
Or for you, it was the other way.
Other way.
Where
just complete chaos, but fun and exciting. And not that this job isn't exciting, because it is, but I get more time to kind of sit down and have a more structured schedule instead of running around a stadium and helping and doing wheelchairs or helping a customer or a fan. Totally different jobs, but also just they weren't that far apart from each other. They're kind of both applying to my degree in a sense. My guest services job, I did a lot of communicating. I was selling tickets and I was writing certificates. I would say that would apply to my degree a little bit, because I want my long-term degree to have a lot of communicating and working alongside team members. And that's something I did. And that's something I'm doing now on my on-campus job. So definitely
Do you think that do you think all of your off-campus jobs, or on-campus jobs for that matter, are directly related to your major, as in you would think of them as literally directly related, or is it more you're getting value from them, but they're not necessarily?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, this summer I was a marketing intern for a small company, and that was more of doing a lot of cool, busy work, but doing 3D rendering and doing a lot of editing. And that is something that's important in the marketing world, but it's not something that directly applies to what I want to do. And same with guest services with the Tigers. That does not directly apply to being a marketing and social media manager, which is what I really want to do long term. So in some senses, I'm just gaining value. I'm getting cool experience, but I'm not gaining that direct experience of what I want to do with my career, which in this position I feel like I am gaining exactly experience that I want to do. I've learned so much about social media. I've learned how to gain attraction on different platforms and so many things. We'd be here forever if I could really just talk about what I do and what I've learned. But I would say the position I'm doing on campus right now directly applies, but my off campus has a little more freedom of just learning things for myself and my future, just in different ways.
It's really interesting. You said you were a marketing intern off campus.
Yeah, I was.
And that sounds like it would be directly related. Yeah. But what you were actually doing wasn't necessarily it's still a good experience. But
it's true though. Marketing, being a marketing intern is so broad, and on paper, at a company, that marketing position is going to be totally different from a different company's marketing position. And it just depends on where you are. I mean, not that I didn't love that one, because I did, but I also realized I don't think I want to be sitting at a computer for my whole life for a 9-to-5 at a corporate office. I don't think I want to do that. But I'm super glad I had that experience to learn that. But now I'm doing a marketing position that I get to be walking around talking to people and making content, something I didn't do at that other marketing position. So it's same for you, your computer science intern. That company, it may be a totally different thing from being a computer science intern somewhere else.
Yeah, and even with job titles too in my field, where the job title doesn't really mean, it doesn't really describe exactly what the job is going to be.
I agree. It's true.
I think you see that across everything.
100%. Yeah. But but there might be some things that you do that aren't on that job description, whether it's busy work or they're not going to put do a Google sheet or a Excel sheet on their handshake. They may be able for some positions, but for my marketing one, a lot of it was sitting at a computer doing Excel sheets, but that wasn't on my previous job application when I applied. So it's good I got that experience, but sometimes it's not going to be on your application. I think that's important to note when looking for a position.
I think it's a very normal experience to get into a job because it looks like it's going to be exactly what you want to do.
Definitely.
Or the title is what you in your head want to do, but then you kind of realize, not in a negative way, that this isn't exactly what I want.
Yeah.
But it's still great experience, and then it directs you towards knowing what you want, what direction you want to take it.
It's great value, and in some sense, it may not seem like it at the time. You might be frustrated that you're doing something that wasn't on your job application, but in the future, it could help you out.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I think it sounds like for both of us, we have found what we love to do, and we've been able to align our like studies and jobs
Yeah.
with what we love doing, I think that's the most important thing.
100%. And I hope other people get to experience that as well, because I feel like we're very fortunate in that sense. Maybe
Absolutely.
people won't find what they love to do until they graduate, or maybe even beyond that, they might not find that out. But we're living in our early 20s, experiencing that right now, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Did you always know what you loved to do?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Like, no, like this was the first, well, last year I did a sports internship with Oakland, and I was in their athletic department because I came in as a student athlete. I love sports. Like, that's a huge passion of mine. So I went into that internship thinking I want to work in sports forever. And then I came out of that internship being more flexible and being like, maybe I don't want to work in sports forever. So then this year I took on just marketing and social media for the Career and Life Design Center. And that is such a different role in marketing. And I love it so much. And that's something that I could take into a non-sports related industry. So I didn't know forever, and I didn't even know marketing, period. I initially came in as just business, trying to figure out what business realm could I go in. So, no, I really didn't know.
Yeah.
What about you?
Well, before I get into that, I liked how that's really cool that you didn't know, but everything that you were doing kind of directly went into what you're doing now and where your direction is headed.
So many different experiences, and I still am not, like, I still don't know. Like, it's just weird. I know marketing. I know I love social media. I know those things, but what am I going to do with that is something that I don't know until after graduation.
I have always felt the exact same way, that, like, I know I love the things that I'm doing, and kind of I like these things. But whenever someone asks me, like, oh, what kind of job are you looking for? What do you want to do exactly? I have no idea. I feel like I could take what I am skillful and love doing, and take that into a lot of different industries and different specific jobs. And I think over time, I've figured out more, especially after graduating and starting my master's program. I feel like I've been able to kind of refine it down into more specifically what I want to do. And for me, and it sounds like for you too, that came directly from getting work experience.
Yeah.
And not necessarily either realizing like, oh, I don't want to do this, or I think this is more common, at least for us. It definitely sounds like it, but doing something and being like, okay, well, that was cool. How do I take this into something more specific that I love more?
Yeah.
And
100%.
we both did that.
I feel like for me, like there's never going to be a position with a job title that holds everything I want to do.
Yeah.
Like, I love communicating. I love talking to people. I love marketing. I love social media. I love business. There's so many things I enjoy. Is that all going to fit in one job title? Absolutely not. But it's about finding a position that might have bullet points underneath that with, like, the list of things that I might enjoy. But I don't think there ever is going to be a job where everything I love to do is incorporated into that one position.
Yeah.
Maybe there is.
I don't think so. And I think I've got stuck on that before, like when working on my resume, because you're supposed to put like a desired job, or direction, and
how do you
summarize that? I'm like,
there's so many things.
I spent so long trying to look for a job that encapsulated exactly what I want to do, and whenever I tried doing that, I'm like, okay, well, this is good enough, and then a couple months later, I look at it and I'm like, no, that's not right.
Yeah.
I want to switch it to something else.
That's so true, though. 100%. I mean, just to wrap it up a little, I'm curious about what advice you have for a student, whether they're a freshman or a junior or senior. Like, what advice you have for them when they are currently looking for a job, whether that is on campus or off campus, just a job in general while being a student. Like, do you have any advice for them? And I know I have a couple things, but you can definitely go ahead and start with this one.
I mean, my advice is to not worry about finding the perfect job, and to just get experience
Yeah.
in something that you can relate. I think that was something we went over a lot, is like even jobs that didn't seem like they should be related to our careers, we found value in, and we got a ton of value from them from our perspective. So my big advice is really important. Don't worry too much about getting the right thing.
Yeah.
Just get out there and be involved and find what you love through your experiences.
That's a great answer. I mean, it's probably exactly what I would say too. Like, there may not be a position that looks like exactly what you want to do, but you should apply. Even if there's one bullet point under that list that says something that you may enjoy, and everything, you can do it. Like, just do it. Just apply.
Yeah,
it's okay. You might not get it, or you might do it, and it might be the best thing ever.
Mm-hmm.
But for my answer, I'm going to say something a little more generic, or just factual. Please look on Handshake, because many students don't know about Handshake. But that's where I found my position as a marketing intern, was Handshake. And that's where a lot of departments post what positions they have available. So that's a very obvious answer, but it's very important that students know that Handshake is a great resource for them, that you will find a job on campus if that's what you're looking for. But another answer is come to the Career and Life Design Center, which is where we work. And I will absolutely take any chance to promote that, because the ambassadors that are in the Career and Life Design Center can help so much with resume building. They can help so much with cover letters in itself, which a lot of people don't know what that even is. But I think students should definitely use that resource. And another resource that the Career and Life Design offers is career coaches, just to sit down with a career coach one-on-one and talk about what do I like to do and what positions might offer that for me. And career coaches can take you so far into opening new things that you might not even know you wanted to do. So those are my answers, and I think your answer as well. Just be flexible and just apply. Just do it.
Well, for all of pretty much every job I've had as a student has been from, like, I found out about it through either Handshake or a career fair.
Yeah, and go to career fairs.
Go to career fairs, yeah.
You can't go to the career fair. It's so important, though. That's how you found your computer science position, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah. And
so
then
important.
Every on-campus job through Handshake, that's how I found out about them to begin with.
Yeah.
And then obviously applied for them. And then I also, the career ambassadors and career coaches were super helpful for me. Using all of those resources is like
the key to success.
Well, I think for me, my experience was that like it helped me a lot. I didn't go to see a career coach and they were like, oh, this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
But it was talking with the career coach to helped me figure out what I wanted to do, and so that I could do it myself.
It's such a valuable resource, and it's free. It comes with your tuition.
Yeah.
I think people should be using that every day. So thank you so much for joining us for another episode of the Journey Mappers podcast, the official podcast of the OU Pledge, sponsored by the Oakland University Credit Union. See you next time.